اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
هبت رياح هباء فطار القصيد يحاكي الهوى رياح السموم.
The general was in a very good mood, usually very stern, tough, frowning face, really achieved something. He said, yeah. He said, today, 3 big victories. There was this fly that had come into my chamber. I was trying to get it, but I couldn't get at it, and today I finally squashed it. If these are achievements that the leaders are hoping to achieve, what's going to happen with the rest of us? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. اللهم لا أحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فعن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف، وفي كل خير. احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز، ولا تقل لو أني فعلت كان كذا وكذا، فإن لو تفتح أمل الشيطان، وكما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Respected brothers and sisters, everyone has goals, aspirations, hopes, wishes, and dreams. Those goals might have to do with something immediate. It might be something in the near future or in the distant future. It might have something to do with one's worldly life. It may have something to do with one's life in the hereafter. It could have something to do with one's physical needs or mental, emotional needs. There's no limit. There's no box that a person's hopes and desires and wishes and goals stay within. The human being is free to allow his mind to roam about and set all kinds of goals for themselves. But there are 2 things that need to be looked at. The first thing is the goals themselves must be worth achieving. What's the point of setting a goal that's not worth anything? One writer writes about a meeting he had with somebody high up in the army in his country. And he says that the general was in a very good mood, usually very stern, tough, frowning face. He says, I walk in and I see that he's all smiles. So I said, that, wow, looks like you're having a great day. It's been a long time since I've seen you this happy and this pleased. Must have really achieved something on the front, on the lines, in the field. He said, yeah. He said, today, I had 3 big victories. Said, wow, 3 in one day. That our situation is such that we lose 100 times, and even then we're lucky if we get 1 victory. How did you manage to pull off 3 in a single day? He said, well, the first victory, and this was something I had been waiting for a long time, is that there was this fly that had come into my chamber. It had been bugging me for the last 3 days. I was trying to get it, but I couldn't get at it, and today I finally squashed it. That was victory number 1. He said, I'm so happy. Last night was the first night I actually got to sleep and that fly didn't bug me. The writer says, okay. Not quite the kind of victory he was expecting from a general. And he said, the other victory is that I had this partner of mine that I play chess with every day, and he whips me. This morning I beat him for the first time. And I'm so happy, because I just stuffed it in his face. Oh. And he went on talking of these lines. He said, well, good to know that you had such a great day. I wish you all the best. Take care. Nice meeting you. And then he says, if these are victories for us today, if these are achievements that the leaders are hoping to achieve, then what to say about the average person? What's going to happen with the rest of us? This guy's out there trying to bat at flies. And he's a general of the army. And if killing a fly is a victory, then wow. Beating someone in chess is a victory. The thing is, what kind of goal am I setting today for myself? Someone sets a goal for a video game that they're playing. Have to reach that level. Have to beat so-and-so. Okay, fine. Someone is setting some other goal, I mean, what are we really aiming to achieve? Are our goals really goals? Or are we just fooling ourselves? The second thing is, once you set worthwhile goals, you have to have the strength and the courage to aim for them, to work towards them. Whether it's a goal of dunya, of our worldly life, or it's a goal of the hereafter. Whether it has something to do with our bodies and our health, or our education, or our spirituality. Goals are no good if we're not striving to achieve them. And that's where, as they say, the rubber meets the road. That's where a person is tested. That's where it is discovered and decided whether someone is actually going to make it in life or not. It's not about the goals. It's about the desire to achieve them and the courage, the sheer dedication to chase after those goals and hunt them down and be persistent and resolute until one gets it. The Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith of Muslim that I read in the beginning, the strong believer is better and more liked by Allah than the weak believer, even though both have good in them. المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف. It's better, or superior, and more liked by Allah than the weak believer. وفي كل خير. Both have good in them. So what kind of strength are we talking about? Is it a physical strength? It's not a physical strength. Because in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, لَيْسَ الشَّدِيدُ بِالسُّرَعَةِ إِنَّمَا الشَّدِيدُ الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. Tough person, strong person, is not the one who can knock the other one over, who can wrestle the other one down, who can pin the other person. That's not what the tough person is. That's not what makes someone strong. The strong one is the one who can compose themselves in a state of anger, in a state of rage, the one who can control themselves and not lose it, do the right thing even at that point of anger. That's where strength comes in. So we're not talking about physical strength. So it doesn't mean that The hadith does not mean that someone who can bench press 300 pounds is more liked by Allah than someone who can only bench press 150. Or someone who can run 10 kilometers is better than someone who can only run 5. We're not talking about physical strength here. And in the same hadith, the Prophet ﷺ explains what is strength and weakness. احرص على ما ينفعك. This hadith, the person studies it properly and implements it, it's enough to keep you motivated for the rest of your life. It has so much clear instructions in it. It's a template for every single one of us. احرص على ما ينفعك. Yearn for those things that are beneficial to you. Beneficial to you in dunya, beneficial to you in akhirah. We have to live in this world for a certain period of time. It's not our final abode, but it is a temporary place of residence. So what things do we need and what things will help us in this world? Let's look for those things. Yearn for those things. It could be wealth. It could be health. It could be any achievement, any worldly achievement that is good, beneficial, helpful, healthy. Includes all of those things. احرص على ما ينفعك. Knowledge, it's going to benefit you. Health, it's going to benefit you. Good experiences are going to benefit you. Good company, it's going to benefit you. A good environment is going to benefit you. Skills, abilities, they're going to benefit you. So yearn for all of those things. In terms of akhirah, a'mal, good deeds, iman, akhlaq, sifat, qualities, these are all things of benefit. So yearn for all of those things that are good for you, that are beneficial to you. Talking about good health, the Prophet ﷺ was very particular about the type of water he drank. And if you sit with anyone who's a specialist in health or nutrition, they'll tell you the importance of the type of water that a person uses. So he used to have his water brought from a distant source, from special wells that he had selected because of the high quality of their water and the sweet taste of their water. There's nothing wrong with making healthy choices. You don't have to, it's not a part of deen that you have to just eat garbage and say, oh no, we have nothing to do with dunya. He was very particular about that. A lot of things. Maybe one day we'll have a whole discussion just on health. What we learn about health from the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba. But benefit, things of benefit. That means that don't chase after things that are of no benefit. The Prophet ﷺ used to take protection from Allah. Can you imagine? Like you're asking Allah to save you, to protect you from what? مِنْ عِلْمٍ لَا يَنْفَعُ. Oh Allah, save me from that knowledge which has no benefit. So it's a person knows and knows and knows and they know so much, but all of that knowledge is of no use to them. Oh Allah, save me from such knowledge. Running away from those things that are harmful to our health, our mental health, physical health, emotional health, social health. Running away from those things that are hindrances in us living functional lives, productive lives. Once you have identified the things that are beneficial for you, and you are yearning for them, you're craving for them, the good of dunya and the good of akhirah. There's a dua Allah has taught us in the Quran. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. The Prophet ﷺ was told of someone who was extremely ill. He went to see them, and he saw that the man was in such poor health that his body had just shrunk. He had lost so much weight. His face was discolored, his body was he was in the throes of death. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Is there some particular dua you've been making?" He said, "Yes. The dua I've been making is that, oh Allah, if there's any punishment you have in store for me in akhirah, just give it to me here in this dunya." The Prophet ﷺ said, "You can't bear that. But your dua is what has caused you to become like this. All you had to do was make this dua, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. Oh Allah, give me good in this world, the good of this world, وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً, and good in the hereafter, وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, and save us. By your mercy, save me from the punishment of Jahannam." So once the man learned this dua, he started reading this dua, and his health was restored. So we are yearning for the good of dunya and the good of akhirah. Now what? وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. Take the help of Allah, because you will not be able to achieve it on your own. You will not be able to gain the good of dunya and akhirah just by hoping for it, or just by your own efforts. So there are different levels of people here. There are those who don't even hope. And there, we can say fairly, they're hopeless. Then there are those who only hope. And that's the extent of it. They also get nowhere. Hopes, empty hopes and wishes are the capital of that person who has nothing to gain and nothing to achieve. Empty hopes and wishes. I wish, I hope, I wish, I hope. I could. If only I could. If only I had. If only I would. If only I will. It doesn't mean a darn thing in the real world. Then there's the next level of people who hope, and they're striving as well. They're making an effort. But they don't have the help of Allah with them. Allah is not on their side. These people will meet great frustration. Because not only have they hoped, their hopes have reached a certain level and they are pushing for it. They're working day and night for those goals. And they've exerted so much time and energy and perhaps even wealth and resources, but they still, at the end of life, didn't get what they wanted. Like there was a man named Imru al-Qais in Jahiliyyah, famous poet. He spent half of his life chasing after women, and the other half, when he found out that, oh, your father was a big, powerful chief, he spent the other half of his life trying to regain the power that his father had left behind. And he left this world without ever achieving that goal. He died in that process. He tired himself. In fact, in one place he says, لَقَدْ نَقَبْتُ فِي الْآفَاقِ حَتَّى رَضِيتُ مِنَ الْغَنِيمَةِ بِالْإِيَابِ. Because I've traveled and traveled and traveled so much that I don't even want now the spoils of war. To me, just going back home is more dear than winning a war. He exhausted himself, but he died like that. So, to yearn for, to aim for the things of benefit, and then take the help of Allah with you. How do we do that? First of all, if there's a goal that you and I have that is displeasing to Allah, Allah will never help us achieve that. So there's no point in asking Him. In fact, asking Him to help us achieve a sin is a very, very big sin. So make sure the goal itself is permissible. That's one way to have the help of Allah with you, for starters. The second thing is make sure that the way you're achieving that goal is also correct. Don't ask for the help of Allah when you are using methods that are contrary to the commands of Allah. You want money, you need money, so you set a goal. Okay, I'm going to get a job. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that the job is halal. You're not being asked to do anything haram. And secondly, make sure that the way you carry out your job is also halal. So it could be a perfectly halal job. You know, it's a halal business. But in the process, you're compromising your salat. The girl takes off her hijab. The boy is now completely gone from deen, breaking the orders of Allah. Okay, the goal itself was correct, but the process that you're using, the way you're going about it, is bringing the displeasure of Allah. You need to change that. Third thing is, once you know that these two things are correct, the goal itself is correct, and the method that you're using is also correct, now ask Allah's assistance. Ask for Allah to help you. He will help you. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is only He that we turn to for assistance in all our affairs of dunya, our affairs of akhirah. Learn those du'as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, and we should ask in the time of need. There's so many du'as. The thing is that once Allah's help is with you in that task, now He's going to help you finish it. He's going to help you complete it and perfect it. And if He's on your side, what else do you need? It could be that you don't have the means to complete that task, achieve that goal. It could be that many obstacles come along the way, but His help is going to take you through all of those and make you reach the end. So the first thing is to aim for those things that are beneficial. The second thing is to get the help of Allah. And the third thing is وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Don't become ajiz. And there are two meanings of ajiz in hadith. One meaning is foolishness. Don't be a fool. Don't make blunders. Don't make foolish mistakes. A foolish mistake is when you know it's a mistake and you know it's going to harm you, but you do it anyways. Similarly, there's a precaution that you were supposed to take. You knew about it, you didn't take it. You ended up incurring harm. There was an extra step that you needed to take to ensure that something happened. You didn't take that step, everything fell apart. So one meaning of ajz is foolishness. As in the hadith, الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والعاجز من أتبع نفسه هواها وتمنى على الله الأماني. The intelligent one is the one who guards themselves, holds themselves responsible, and does those actions that will help them after death, prepares for the life after death. And the fool, وَالْعَاجِزْ مَنْ أَتْبَعَ نَفْسَهُ هَوَاهَا, is a person who gets in the habit of chasing their desires, following their desires, fulfilling their desires. وَتَمَنَّى عَلَى اللَّهِ الْأَمَانِي. And then they have so many hopes from Allah. Like, I'm going to do what I want, but I hope everything from Allah. Allah's going to give me everything anyways. Allah should forgive me, and Allah should help me, and Allah should give me barakah, and Allah should give me this. Make dua, make dua, make dua. You're doing what you want, and then you say, oh Allah, give me, give me, give me. And so that person's a fool. That is one type of ajz. The other type of ajz is that you become lethargic. Lethargic means that you just don't feel like getting up and doing it. A kind of laziness. You could do it, potentially, you just don't. I just don't get around to it. This is something that the Prophet ﷺ also asked Allah's protection from. In fact, after every salat, one of the du'as Nabi ﷺ used to make, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal-kasal. And he used to take protection, seek the protection of Allah from this every morning and every evening. Oh Allah, I seek your protection. Save me, protect me from laziness and from becoming lethargic and unable to do the things that I actually can do. Don't put me in that position. So, everything is in place, but now you're not making the effort. You got admission into the school you wanted, the courses are good, everything is in place, you're just not studying now. That's an example of ajz. Everything is lined up, you're not doing your part. What's stopping you? Nothing. There's a block inside. There's a barrier inside that's just not letting you do it. And that's not a very big barrier. It's not a huge obstacle. It's very easy to knock down. It just takes a little bit of what we call himma. And himma means, it's a combination, it's a very powerful Arabic word, which means the resolution to do something and the struggle to achieve it. So in this hadith, so far, the Prophet ﷺ has already told us what is a strong believer. Strong believer is the one who is doing this. He is yearning and aiming for the things that are beneficial. He is taking the help of Allah and he's not becoming ajiz, he's not becoming helpless. And then the last piece of advice, وَلَا تَقُلْ, and one riwayah, وَلَا تَقُلْ لِشَيْءٍ لو أني فعلت كان كذا وكذا. If only I had done that, then this would have happened. This is the guy or the girl who is always trying to put the blame on something else, not taking responsibility. Oh, I know why that happened. It's because that didn't happen. Or after the fact, after they've lost out, after they didn't fulfill that goal, oh man, if I'd only done that, then I would have done this and this and this. Don't be from one of those people. If only, if only, if only. Because the word low, if only, to say this, if only, it opens up the door for shaitan to do his work. فَإِنَّ لَوْ تَفْتَحُ عَمَلَ الشَّيْطَانِ. This is what opens up the door for shaitan to do his work. And instead of realizing that Allah had not planned for me to do that, or Allah did not allow me to do it, you start putting the blame on other things, and you start thinking that maybe you could have outsmarted your own taqdeer, but you haven't. So who is the strong believer? The strong believer is the one who knows what they need to achieve in life. If you don't know what you need to achieve in life, better get started. Because life passes by very quickly. If you don't know what you want, sit down and read the Quran and allow the Quran to tell you all of the things that you need to have. Or go to someone and ask them, what do I need to achieve in this world before I leave this world? Because like I said, we're only here for a very temporary while. And that's it, it's gone. So Mutanabbi, famous poet of Arabic, says, على قدر أهل العزم تأتي العزائم أو عزائم وتأتي على قدر الكرام المكارم فتعظم في عين الصغير صغارها وتصغر في عين العظيم العظائم. على قدر أهل العزم تأتي العزائم. It is according to the level of people, the level of resolution that people have, that great things are achieved. What kind of person are you? How high of a caliber do you have? that is the type of decisions and goals you will set. The higher the person is, the higher the goals they will set. So how high are you? Where is your mind? When I say how high are you, it means really, what do you want to achieve? What kind of a person are you? What are you out to do? وَتَأْتِي عَلَى قَدْرِ الْكِرَامِ الْمَكَارِمُ. Honor, you want honor? You will get the kind of honor that you deserve. How honorable of a person are you? That is the kind of honor you will gain. فَتَعْظُمُ فِي عَيْنِ الصَّغِيرِ صِغَارُهَا. For a small person, even small goals seem big. For somebody with a small mind, somebody with small goals, small intentions, for someone like that, even small things seem very big. تَصْغُرُ فِي عَيْنِ الْعَظِيمِ الْعَظَائِمُ. But for someone who is big inside, they think big, they plan big, they want to achieve big, then for them even big goals are very small, achievable. So do you have what it takes to achieve big things in life? Inside we all have those things. Every one of us has those things. But not everyone achieves big things because the efforts of people vary. Some people who have the ability to think big don't use that ability, and they waste their time on small things. They have the ability, the talent, even the time and resources to achieve big things, but they don't devote themselves to it. Just too lazy. I'd rather just take it easy and cruise. Why work hard for that degree when I can just get this one with barely any effort? Why work hard to learn deen when I can just, I already know enough. That's it. It's good enough. So there are many people who have great abilities, but they don't end up using those abilities. That's why they say talent is never enough. You think you're talented? That's nice. So what? So what if you're talented? If talent was enough, then 80% of talented people wouldn't be on the sidelines doing nothing. Just in my short life, I have met so many people with extremely amazing talents. People with just amazing memorizing ability, amazing linguistic skills, amazing mathematical skills, amazing planning and strategic skills. People with such beautiful things, and you think this person should be the CEO of a huge corporation. The mind Allah has given them, the abilities Allah has given them, unbelievable. But they're sitting there doing nothing. And you know what? They're happy doing nothing. Because applying yourself is work, and who wants to work? Rather just do nothing. People who could have memorized the Quran in such a short time, Allah has given them those abilities, they just throw it away. Rather play video games. The talent is not enough. The struggle, the effort is a part of it. And if you're not ready to make effort in this world, then you should be prepared to get left behind, because the world is moving on. And it's only those people who work the hardest that make it the furthest. What happens with us is we only have examples of those, those 1 in a billion or 1 in 100 million who got it easy and they made it without really doing anything spectacular, and we say, okay, I want to be that one. That's the one I want to be. But the fact is that most people have to work their tails off to get something. So be from those. Be from the majority that has to work. And I cannot stress this enough. There are too many youngsters that are just so conceited about their talent. And trust me, talent is overrated. Talent means nothing until you can make use of it, until you can refine it and put it to work. Even knowledge. Some people have immense knowledge about something. It doesn't mean a thing if you can't apply it. Now, if you're ready for the challenge of life, and life is just that, it's one challenge after another. Small ones, big ones, short ones, long ones, but life is all about challenges. You have to rise to meet the challenges, stare them in the eyes, and tackle them. And you have to have this attitude that I'm not going to let things bowl me over or overwhelm me, no matter how big those things are. If what I'm aiming for is right, and the way I'm achieving it is also right, then nothing should stop me from achieving that goal. Otherwise, the poet says, دع المكارم لا ترحل لبغيتها واقعد فإنك أنت الطاعم الكاسي. He said, just leave it, have a seat. You're one of the sideliners. Leave all things of nobility, leave all things of achievement, leave anything of any good. You sit down, you're just, I think the best task for you is just to eat and wear clothes. To you, that's an achievement. If you can manage to feed yourself and dress yourself, that's about all you can handle, so just relax. You sit down on the side. So what we need is an ummah, a young ummah of productive and active youngsters. People who are out there achieving things, out there making changes, making a difference in all aspects of life. Don't restrict it to just religious activities. Religious activities are a big part of that. But overall, and I'll tell you something. There are some people who use religion as a refuge and as a resort because they're too lazy to do something out there in the world. That's not what religion is for. The mosque is not that place that you go to, okay, I'm going to hang out at the mosque from now on because I just don't feel like going to school. The mosque wasn't made for that. I'm going to go to an Islamic school now because I just can't study out there. I heard they're easy. First of all, they're not easy. And secondly, that's not what Islamic schools are for. So don't run away from the challenges of life and then end up in religion as a result. Because you won't get that and you won't get this either. Guaranteed. Even in religion, those types of individuals are needed who are go-getters, who are active, who are doing things. Now, let's talk about deen for a bit. Deen is an interwoven part of our life. It connects and crisscrosses with everything you and I do. There is no, for a Muslim, there isn't really any, okay, there's my deeni life and then there's my worldly life. It's not really like that. His deeni life is his worldly life and his worldly life is his deeni life. His deen is impacting what he does in dunya, and his dunya is under the teachings and instructions and morals and values he's getting from his deen. So it's all interwoven, it's blended. Saving ourselves from haram is a goal. It's an achievement. And just like all those other good achievements, it's one of those things that you have to pinpoint it as a goal. You have to address it and set it as a goal. Take the help of Allah, and Allah's help will be with you for sure. And then use the right means, what we call tadbir. Do some tadbir. Tadbir means planning. Plan it out. Someone who has a tendency to look at haram things, let's say on the internet, he or she realizes that, okay, this is wrong. I should stay away from this, I should avoid this. Okay? That has been designated as a goal. Now what? Now turn to Allah and ask Him to help you achieve that goal. Because we have a saying that was taught to us by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Very huge statement. There is no power to do good, and there is no strength to abstain from evil but from Allah. Anyone who is doing anything good, it's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has empowered them to do it. And anyone who is abstaining from evil, or will abstain from evil, or has abstained from evil, it's only because Allah has given them the strength to do so. That strength comes only from Allah. So if leaving this particular sin that this individual is engaged in, if this is their goal, they can't do it without the help of Allah. So they need to turn to Allah and say, oh Allah, you help me, I want to leave this, you help me leave it. And then what? Plan it. Plan it so that it becomes difficult for you to do that sin. Don't live your life so that it becomes easy to commit that sin. You're telling yourself you want to leave this sin, but you're spending hours and hours in front of the computer by yourself. Oh really? This is ajiz. This person is ajiz. And what they're doing is ajiz. Because you're not using your brain, and you're not using the right planning, you're not using the right steps to achieve what you could achieve. So keep throwing yourself in front of the computer all alone. So what are the things they could do? There's so many things they could do. If they have their own computer, they could bring it to a place that's more open, where people are coming and going. They could put a restriction on themselves. That okay, I am going to forbid myself from using the computer anytime that I'm alone. And you hold yourself to that until it becomes your habit. You just don't serve for those things. You're just not looking for those things anymore. You're not interested in it anymore. And if you do it long enough, you could do it. Because the nafs, the desires, they might seem like they're very strong, but as the poet says, وَالنَّفْسُ كَالطِّفْلِ إِن تُهْمِلْهُ شَبَّ عَلَى حُبِّ الرِّضَاعِ وَإِن تُفْطِمْهُ يَنْفَطِمِ. The nafs is like a baby who's drinking milk, drinking the milk of its mother. If you leave it, if the mother keeps suckling that baby, it'll grow old, drinking the milk of its mother. If the mother never weans it, child by itself will never want to leave. إن تهمله شب على حب الرضاع وإن تفطمه ينفطم. But if the mother goes through that process of weaning, in which there is discomfort to the baby doesn't like it. Baby wants the mother's milk, keeps going to the mother, cries, doesn't want the bottle, hits the bottle. You have to put up with that for some time, until the baby realizes that, you know what, there is no more access to that milk. It's gone, it's finished. When that finally settles in to that baby's system, then they get used to whatever source of milk you provide for them. So if you keep feeding the nafs, directly, indirectly, from some source, the nafs stays satisfied and says, you know what, I can get this pleasure of mine, I can get it from such and such source. And the person, because the nafs is very smart, and shaitan is helping it, So they just switch from one source to another source. And in the mind, yes, I want to leave this sin, yes. In the meantime, years have passed. And it has become their nature to do that sin. The only way around it is to use himmah, to use power and strength and fight it, and use the means that it takes to defeat that sin. Same thing applies in doing good deeds. There's a good deed you're supposed to do. For example, praying salat, you're just not doing it. So set the goal, get Allah's help on your side, and start using the means that are going to help you achieve it. Sometimes we hope, we wish, we talk about it, and then that's it, it's gone. When you take a course in school, you register for that course. In high school, there's a registration process. Okay, I've taken this course, I've been admitted into this course. That process helps you realize as a student that, you know what, I'm responsible for finishing this course. And the expectations are laid out right from the beginning that you're going to have to do this much work in the average school week, this much work in the average term, and you know what, the end of the year looks like this. And that's what you're going to have to do in order to pass. So you work on it week by week. A course is not something you just take and then it's done. You've taken the course. No, it's something you work on. It's a process that you go through. It's a process of learning and practicing and implementing. And by the time you've done it for that much time, you have completed this course, you're now ready for the next level. It's the same thing in deen. You don't just become a muttaqi, a pious person out of the blue. Okay, I want to be pious, oh Allah, I want to be pious, make me pious. And then, in a flash, all of a sudden they're pious. It doesn't happen like that. You have to commit yourself to certain acts of piety. Just like you enroll in that course. You are taking full responsibility of it. And once you have committed to it, hold yourself to it. For some people, keeping a log helps. How many times did I do it? How many times did I miss it? Why did I miss it? What was the cause of me missing it? You know, one riwayat, it's mentioned the Prophet ﷺ was walking with some of his companions, and there was one person rolling around in the hot sand, in the blistering heat, like punishing himself. So the Prophet ﷺ sees him, and when a person sees that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is there, gets embarrassed, gets up, doesn't know what to do, and then he's trying to apologize and saying, look, I'm really sorry that you saw me in this state, but... And while he's rolling around in the dirt, in the sand, he's berating himself. He's saying that all night you sleep like a dead body, and all day you do nothing like a donkey. He's telling himself this. Right? Anyways, he gets up and tries to explain that I was doing this because I missed my tahajjud last night. And I was telling myself how useless I am. And the reason why I did that is, the reason why I missed my tahajjud is because of my desire to rest more. I wanted to show myself, oh yeah, you want to rest? This is what you're going to get. So on one side, in that riwayah, the Prophet said, you didn't have to do that. You don't have to punish yourself like this. But on the other side, he told his companions that go ask this man for dua. Right now his dua is accepted. Hold yourself responsible for your actions. There is no replacement for your own inner strength. There is none. There is no replacement for your own initiative to do something good or to stay away from something evil. You can read all the books you want about the harms of sin, the dangers of sin. It's nice to have that knowledge. But in the end, what's it going to take for you to stay away from it yourself? It's that inner strength. The courage and the power to resist your own temptations. And there is some that you have, and there is some that you have to develop. Everyone already has some, but you have to build it. We are living in times when there is so much instability in our youngsters. Not just in their deen, in their dunya as well. We see it in their studies, we see it in their home life, in their social life, yes, and their religious life also. There's so much fluctuation, jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes into this, and then, no, I don't feel like it, I want to do that. Then, no, I want to do this. No, I want to do that. Everyone has a certain amount of time to decide, to set goals for themselves. Short term, and mid-term and long term. Set those goals and try to stick to them. Try to ask and make mashura with those people who have an idea of what you are talking about, who care for you, and ask them for some advice. Once you get good advice, sound advice, it makes sense, just follow it. We need stable individuals out there. And there is nothing worse than someone who spends a big chunk of their life just in confusion as to what they want to do. So don't be confused. Everyone goes through a certain phase where they're kind of undecided. Everyone goes through that. Nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is don't waste your life after that, or because of that little bit of hesitation in your mind or double-mindedness. Don't waste your life. Take something, start doing it. See it to the end. And if, like I said, if you've taken the help of Allah in the beginning, the goal itself is good, Allah's help is with you, your method is correct, khalas. It's something good that you've achieved. Move on with it. And the same thing in deen. Try to become those people that are stable in their deen, stable in their salat, stable in coming to the masjid, stable in staying away from bad friends, stable in keeping with good company and good friends, stable in doing good deeds, good activities, stable in displaying good akhlaq, good manners at home. Try to bring a sense of stability in you today. It's going to take you very, very, very far. Our biggest field of effort is right here, it's ourselves. There is so much we can do to develop ourselves and build ourselves. It's unbelievable. This is where the Sahaba radiallahu anhum applied themselves. This is where they took the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and used them. It's on this body, on this mind, on this nafs, it's on this person. And so, long after their physical bodies have deteriorated and blended into the dust, they're still alive in our minds. They're still alive in our hearts. They're still alive in the spirit of Islam. So what was that? It was their achievements. Through their achievements, they managed to make a permanent place in the history of the world. It was through working on themselves. And if they hadn't, if they had said, okay, well look, I'm 50 years old, I've spent 50 years of my life in Jahiliyyah, right, okay fine, I'll accept this Islam, it's kind of nice, right, but I can't change so much. There wasn't much to talk about, was there? Where would Abu Bakr and Umar and Ali and Uthman and Al-Ashra Mubashra and the Muhajirin and the Ansar that you and I know, where would they come from? If those people had done that with their lives, we wouldn't have much to talk about. We wouldn't have much to look forward to. We remember the Sahaba because of their extraordinary efforts. Not just because they made efforts. They were extraordinary. They were out of the norm. They were out of what the world could expect from a group of people who didn't have much education to speak of, didn't have any wealth, no prominence. They had nothing. But that same band of people ended up becoming the most powerful people in the world. It's because they work on themselves. They built themselves into something. If you and I put ourselves into this process of refining ourselves, working on ourselves, never being satisfied with what we are, the moment you become satisfied, you're done. You've dropped out of the race. The moment that an athlete, someone who's running, the moment they feel that they're running fast enough, that's it. They're gone. Any of you who've ever done track and field will know this. The moment your mind tells you that, yeah, I'm okay, I'm going pretty fast here, zoom. Oh shucks. So, don't become content with your achievements. With dunya, by all means, become content with what you have. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that the most fortunate are those who look to those people who are above them in deen, and those who are below them in dunya. And the least fortunate are those who look to those who are below them in deen and those that are above them in dunya. So what happens is that the race for dunya continues, but the race for deen stops. They're content. I'm praying my 5 times. I go to the masjid every now and then. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, and hey, I'm good to go. Money, status, power, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't stop. But in deen we become content. So, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us enough dunya, be content with it. Never ever become content with your deen and what you have achieved in deen and what you've learned in deen. I am so appalled when I see people who know virtually nothing about deen. They act like they know so much. They are so content with what they know. It's shocking. If we were to be talking about engineering or architecture, right away they would say, no, well, I haven't studied that, so I can't speak about it. We're talking about deen, fiqh, iman, hadith, tafsir. Yeah, we know, brother, we grew up in Muslim family. We know all that stuff. Yeah, right, please. You can't read your Surah Fatiha straight. You try to tell me you know something about deen. How quickly we become content and how quickly we become deceived by shaitan when he makes us think that I know. So we become content with our own ignorance. So, an ummah, a community of youngsters that are pushing themselves to achieve the best that they can achieve of this dunya and of akhirah. Who don't stop, who are relentless in their pursuits, who aren't easily distracted or disenchanted or pushed away or intimidated. No. And finding good role models helps a lot. One of the things that inspires us, or can inspire us, when we look towards people who actually did all of that. We read about their lives. We read their biographies. People who actually achieved what they wanted to achieve. How did they do it? This is why it's so important for our youngsters to connect with the seerah and the biography of the Muslims of the past. It's so important. Whether it's the Sahaba, or of course the peak, they're the cream of this ummah. Tabi'is, Atba'u Tabi'in, the great imams of the ummah, the great scholars and pious people of the ummah, how they studied knowledge, acquired knowledge, how they practiced it, how they worshipped, how they strove to establish deen, to spread deen. You read about their pursuits, you will be inspired. And you will wonder, how? How did they do all of that? Maybe I can try. One of the things that pushed me, forced me almost, to go and pursue knowledge was not someone's lecture. Someone sitting me down and telling me why I should go and become a scholar or go and study deen. No one ever told me that. It was listening to the biographies of the scholars of the past. I would be so inspired, I'd be so awed that really there were people like this in this century? People with that kind of knowledge, that kind of memory, that kind of piety? Really? And it brought this thing inside me that, look, there's so much more that I can achieve here. There's so much more that we can get in life than just going with the flow and going through that regular cycle. There's so much more. So you should also, whenever you find material about Muslims of the past, pious people of the past, take it, read it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us an indication in the Quran of where to find the right path and how to find it. You know, we ask every day, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. So where is the Salat al-Mustaqim? How do you find it? Allah explains in Fatiha how to find it. Sirat al-ladina an'amta alayhim, the path of those, O Allah, that you have favored. That's it. Allah says, find these people that I have favored, you'll find the path. So who are they? Those that Allah has favored with wealth? Those that Allah has favored with power? Those that Allah has favored with influence? What favors? So Allah SWT explains who are those people that Allah has favored that He wants us to look towards. أولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا ذلك الفضل من الله. These are the people you want to be with. Allah says, these are the best of friends. Make these people your friends. And Nabiyyin, the prophets, as-Siddiqeen, those that were the most upright, the truest people, the most loyal to Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ash-Shuhada, those who gave everything for the sake of Allah, and the pious people, as-Salihin. Read the lives of these people. That is the right path. You will find it there. So I hope that in the weeks and months and years to come, all of you will be setting some very serious goals for yourselves. A person without goals is not going very far. I hope you will set goals for your dunya, for your achievements of a purely materialistic and a worldly nature, because you need to set goals for that as well. And more importantly, goals for your deen and for your akhirah, so that your deen can help you in your dunya, here in this world, and it will help you in your akhirah and the hereafter. And let us not be from those people who just wish, who just want, who just desire, but they don't have what it takes to hunt those dreams down. Somebody came to Ibn Sirin. Ibn Sirin rahimahullah was a tabi'i, meaning someone who had seen the Sahaba and learned from them. And he was also known as the great Imam of Ta'bir, the great interpreter, the master interpreter of dreams. So he said, I saw myself swimming. I saw in my dream that I was swimming but without water. And I was flying, but it wasn't through the air. What's the interpretation of my dream? He said the interpretation of your dream is that you're a person who has a lot of wishes but don't do anything about it. You're just a dreamer. Swimming without throwing yourself into the water, flying but you're still on the ground, means you haven't done what it takes to achieve. You don't do what is needed to achieve your goals. Go and do something with your life. So let's not be from those dreamers. Let's be from those people who dream and then they work to achieve those dreams. And inshallah, through people like yourselves, brothers and sisters, like you that are sitting here, we will see great things come into our communities. Beautiful achievements. And we will see, inshallah, that every one of you blooms into a tree that gives many, many beautiful and wonderful and nutritious fruits to those around you and those that are coming after you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and guide you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all steadfastness on the right path. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.